Is the USA suffering from a bad case of foxitis? And is it hurting America's pandemic recovery? That word, foxitis, it was coined by a lawyer defending one of the suspects in the pro-Trump riot. It's almost a Fox News made me do it kind of defense. Foxmania, the lawyer said. He said his client lost his job due to the pandemic and then watched Fox constantly for the next 6 months. Quote, he believed what was being fed to him. Indeed, many Fox viewers came away with a distinct impression that President Trump was robbed, that the election was rigged. But that is just one of the symptoms of foxitis. Other possible symptoms are fear of the unknown, fear of a diversifying America, anger about cancel culture, but only when conservatives are affected, belief that Democrats and news outlets and tech firms are all radical villains. Perhaps one of the symptoms is even the ability to forget what you've seen with your own eyes. Foxmania leaves folks prone to conspiracy thinking, hostile to change. Maybe there needs to be a warning label. I mean, this whole foxitis thing has become a punchline now all over social media, with people saying the COVID vaccine has made them immune to foxitis. And that right there, the vaccine rollout, that's why Foxmania matters. That's where it matters most right now. While the COVID picture is thankfully improving all across the country, public health officials say many more Americans still need to get the shot to keep case counts low and protect everyone. America is clearly hitting the vaccine wall now, and polls show that a lot of the resistance to the vaccines comes from Republicans. Those Republicans who view Fox as their trusted source. Now, I want to be fair and balanced here. Some Fox shows and stars have been responsible. They've been using their platforms for good. They've been sharing their own vaccination experiences. But Murdoch World's most popular shows have popularized some dark, disturbing, damaging narratives about COVID. First downplaying the virus last year, minimizing the risks, and now by sowing confusion. When I've tuned in lately, I've heard complaints about triple masking, 3 masks, even though that's not a real thing. I've heard claims that we are well past herd immunity, even though most experts say the opposite. On Fox, I've heard people are being forced to take the vaccine, which is clearly false. And worst of all, I've heard Tucker Carlson repeatedly say that many Americans are dying after getting the shot. And he says it with the implication that the shots are to blame with no evidence at all. He's scaring his audience so recklessly that even some of his own colleagues called him out for it on Twitter. Carlson acts like he knows some secret truth that's been covered up by some shadowy enterprise. You know what? Maybe he should be writing some junk movie of the week for Netflix or Tubi. Maybe he should go write horror novels for a living. Because he's clearly not responsible enough to have a show that pretends to be news. Just listen to this. Listen to how he talks about life-saving vaccines like there's some sort of government plot to drug us all into submission.
But no one should ever be forced to take this or any other medicine against their will. And unless they speak up now, unless they resist this, they'll be getting this shot whether they like it or not, and a lot more shots after this.
And a lot more shots. What is he talking about? Look, rank and file staffers at Fox know that Carlson's anti-vax stuff is irresponsible and embarrassing. They are embarrassed by it. There are plenty of people at Fox, including on-air talent, including medical experts, who could debunk and correct and educate Tucker Carlson and his audience. But that's not what Carlson wants. That's not who he books on his show. He claims to be pro-vaccine and says he's just asking questions, but he's not seeking the answers. So the rest of us have to. That's what we have to do, right? When foxitis is hurting a lot of people. If we're not going to reach herd immunity in the U.S., we need to reach nerd immunity. Yes, nerd immunity. Enough of us have to be well-informed enough to safely come out of the pandemic coma. Nerd immunity. I guess it's whatever the opposite of foxitis is.